Well, are you running an incense? Because the incense lasts 3 hours during the event.
I did just run an incense, but now it's telling me 7. Oh no, that's a daily one.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about the
Yeah, but if I don't move though, it's not gonna do
No,
anything,
no,
is
it
it?
does. They pop up. They still pop up.
Oh, after this daily one goes, I've still got that daily one where I've got to do like, when you got to catch like 100,
You
and I
still
haven't done that
stuck on that?
because the problem is at lunchtime I go for a walk and then I forget that
Oh.
I can pop it, and then I see it. I'm like, oh, and then I pop it, and nothing appears when you're standing still. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Well, no, things will appear when you stood still. They just won't appear as frequently. So you still
I've
can
never had
catch.
a single in the last 5 days. I've popped it after every single one, and I've never had one.
Dorks Down Under.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dorks Down Under, episode 2 for season 2.
Or 19 or whatever I called it. I forgot. I'm sorry. I did the little picture and I just put 18 because I'm just like, I'll follow the numbers. And then Jordan's like, episode 2, season 1. I'm like, fuck. Probably should have put that.
It's alright. These things happen, Des. It's fine. It's okay. We've had a
I'm
good
just
time.
not putting episode numbers on anymore. You can all just guess. Just watch them out of order. To be fair, you don't really need to.
To be
listen
fair,
to
you
them
know,
in order.
yeah, we're not a Netflix series that needs to be watched in specific order, do we? So
We're
it's
not?
all fine. No, we're not.
Netflix, call us.
But
We
sadly,
got Daddy Bezos here. Why
yes,
not?
sadly, we're not on Netflix. But if you do want to listen to us, ladies and gentlemen, you can see our beautiful faces on our YouTube channel doing the podcast
And hopefully
live.
Netflix soon.
Maybe even Netflix soon. You never know. But we also are available on all good podcasting sites such as Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So you can listen to
And
us. If you can like, share, subscribe, we have our socials on YouTube as well as Twitter, and that'll be very appreciative. Thank you very much.
we also have Amazon Japan.
Amazon
I was randomly Googling, and the top link came up as Spotify, Twitter, Amazon Japan. I'm like, the fuck?
Oh, obviously we're obviously like cult icons. You know, we're gonna
Yeah, I
randomly.
know.
Well, but one of us will randomly go on a trip to Tokyo, and there'll be like
I want to go
billboards
to
and
Japan so
shrines and
much.
everything. Oh, I do as well. Trust me, it's on my list.
Yeah,
It's been on my list
Arigato,
for
aso.
years. It's been on my list for years.
My ones are Japan.
Mm.
I want to do Egypt,
Mm.
and I want to do like an Incan tour through like Peru, Brazil kind of area.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I studied history in high school and a little bit in TAFE before I realized that I'm
My
not going to get anything from it.
my top three in no particular order is Japan. Um,
Boys
Japan.
trip.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Japan, Cambodia, because I want to go Angkor Wat. Because
Oh, that'd be sick.
it's
Actually, yeah, no,
amazing,
you
Angkor
did
Wat.
mention that one time.
And the third one would be I want to do Vegas, but I want to do Vegas for my 40th sort of thing. It's going to be
When are we
like
going? Seriously,
well,
I'll come.
all right, okay. Well, the wife already wants to do it. She's up for my 40th, but I'm not going to go obviously in our summertime because why would
No,
I? You know, we've got good weather
no.
here. You know, but then again, I don't want to end up in the middle of their summer because you know you hear
Yeah.
the horror stories of how hot it gets in the Vegas
What's weird though is because I went to Vegas, so I worked in America. So weirdly, I went to America. I was due to fly out September 13th,
Mm.
and then there was something that happened on the 11th that delayed my flight.
Oh, something on the 11th. Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. By any chance, round about September time ish, something like
Yeah,
that.
it was
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
September. So yeah, so it was a couple of days before, which was weird because I was meant to fly Melbourne. So this is how old it was. It wasn't like direct, you know, when we used to have to stop over.
Oh yeah.
So it was Melbourne to Sydney, Sydney to Honolulu, no, Sydney to LA, LA to Chicago, Chicago to New York, New York to Vermont, and then a 45-minute car ride to Stowe in Vermont, which is where I worked. So shout out to Randy and the Gables Inn crew. Love you guys. But yeah, so I got delayed by a month. And then when we came back, it was about April.
Mm.
And we went for some hikes in Arizona and LA and Vegas and stuff, and it was hot. When you're actually in the town of Vegas, it doesn't feel hot because you're literally just walking from one casino to the other.
Yeah.
A lot of them you can kind of walk between them and stuff. Like it's so cool. Like I must say, like I if you go for your 40th, I am so down. Because I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted. I mean, the only place in America I've been to is I've been to Florida. You know, we've done the Orlando, and we've done the going down to Miami. But we went when I was a baby, but then the second time I went, I was a teenager. But of course, I can't drink because it's America and you have to be
Oh,
21.
actually, that was the funniest thing. So I was on a tour.
Yeah.
I was when I was working in Vermont, I also picked up some shifts in the bar, and it was so funny because I went for this job because I'm working at this bed and breakfast. I'm doing breakfast cook. I'm doing some house cleaning when they need me to, but I'm doing nothing at night. And I went down to the bar, which was called the Rusty Nail, like in
The Rusty Nail.
well, let's put it this way: when there's no snow, you can drive from Vermont, where I was in Stowe, which is a beautiful skiing town,
Yeah.
to Montreal in about 40 minutes. When it snows, it takes about 4 hours because you can't go over the mountain. So it's so far north that it's almost Canada, and there's a place there called the Rusty Nail, and I'm just like, could you have been any more cliche? And the guy looked at my resume and he's like, listen, he goes, you're really good. He looks like you've got the skills. He goes, you've got one problem. I'm like, what's that? He goes, you're 20. I'm like, and? He's like, you can't work here. I'm like, you serious? And he called me back and he's just like, listen, bro, he goes, you can work here, but there may be some times where you have to run into the kitchen and just wash dishes. I was like, that's fine. Like, I don't mind, man. Like, I'm like, if we're just slow in the bar and I need to wash dishes. And it wasn't that. It was the fact that the cops will often raid certain things.
Yes. Basically, the problem is you can't work on a bar because you're under the age of 21. Yeah, it's so weird. Like from around the world, like let's take around the world because I've been to different countries and all that jazz. It is so weird how America is this one country who's got no 21.
But there's places in Canada that's 19. I know in Italy and in a lot of Europe, you can be. I think you can order wine at 16 or something.
Oh yeah, 16. Yeah, it's like most of the continent. It's acceptable from the age of 16, especially if you're out at a family dinner and in a restaurant or something like that.
No, that was you that froze this time. Yes, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't. It's your.
Okay, well, my screen.
It's your terrible internet. That's why.
You only say that because Australia has terrible. Oh, yeah, no, so it is me. No.
Yeah, it is you. But yeah, no. So yeah, most of the European continent is like 16. But to be fair, I mean, I was drinking from 14. No,
to be fair though, we saw
12
and 13-year-olds drink. The only difference was what would happen is their parents would order the carafe and then they would give some to the kid.
Yeah.
And that wasn't unheard of. Like, I know when I stayed, so my mum's background's all Italian. So when I went back to Italy and met a lot of the relatives, quite often they'd bring out this massive carafe of red wine and they would just drink it. And to be fair, it doesn't taste as alcoholic. It's a lot easier to drink, but they would literally grab these big 5-liter glass jars, go to the local wine shop, and then they'd pay a certain amount and those people would fill it. But it was kind of fermented grape juice, so it was kind of wine, but it hadn't been aged, and it hadn't had the.
It's wine, but it's not aged, so therefore it's not strictly massively alcoholic. Yeah, It's like when I make my ginger beer. It ferments for a couple of days. It's fizzy, but it's got like 1% of alcohol. In it,
and it's like that, but it's very easy to drink. It's so palatable, and it's really nice. And the different regions have different wines, which is really cool. But yeah, the number of times we went out there and they're like, do you want wine? And my sister at the time I think she was 17 and she's like, I can't. And they're like, you can in Italy, it's fine. And yeah, she loved it. She got shit-faced most days. Like, she loved it.
It's one of those, it's as I said, but like when we went when I was a teenager, it was good. Obviously, Orlando was great. It was fabulous. You had all the theme parks. We had a great time. It was all good, good jazz. Like literally, we go for what was it called? Sizzler's Steakhouse for breakfast because it was an all-you-can-eat buffet.
We had Sizzler here, and they had this cool butter bread. They had this cool it was like this pan bread they used to call it, and it was like literally just it. I honestly think it was French toast, but instead of eggs, they just used butter, and then they just pan fried it, and it was amazing. But yeah, we had Sizzlers here, and it was an all-you-can-eat buffet.
But yeah, I mean, so we used to go there so we used to go there, and then obviously gorge ourselves silly. Go to the theme park for the day, not eat the entire day until it was like 6 o'clock. So literally, you're like fasting from, for nearly 10 hours.
Is it fasting or is it digesting?
I think it's pretty much digesting. In fact, my
Yeah.
stepdad still recalls the story. He keeps talking about it. He's like, I've never seen an entire person. I mean, you see the cartoons and the
Oh
jokes
yeah.
about the stacks of pancakes. When you physically see someone sit down like Jordan did with an entire stack and devouring it, and then go get seconds, it's like how.
I know. I swear to God though, kids at a buffet, like it literally is just like,
Oh yeah. Oh no.
let's
Well,
do this.
I
It's like
mean,
they're heaven,
I
and
mean,
then they eat so much that they almost die, but they're happy.
I mean, to be fair, if I was to do the same thing, if I was to take Eddie to Orlando and we're going to go to Universal Studios for the day, yeah, I'm taking him to an all-you-can-eat buffet in the morning. Tell him to eat. He's got 1 hour. Like, go.
Yeah.
Whatever
But
you
that's the thing
want.
though, like
Yeah.
even Vegas, because they're trying to keep you in the actual in the hotels, they have shit tons of buffets as well.
Yeah.
But we had buffets where they had what we call crayfish here, but they called lobster. I think in Australia, if it's below a kilo, it's a crayfish. If it's above a kilo, it's a lobster or
Is
something.
that
It
really
works
a
out
thing?
something. Yeah.
You see, because
So
crayfish to me is like, I mean, in
yeah,
England you get crayfish because it's an invasive species, and they're like,
yeah, yeah. So
what,
we call them
about,
yabbies here.
what, 6 inches?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we call those
Yeah.
yabbies here,
Yeah.
and they're caught in fresh water.
Yeah.
The Americans call them crawfish,
Mm.
and we obviously call so we have the crawfish, which are the ones smaller, and the crayfish that are the crayfish that are smaller than a kilo, and then thing at lobster, which is why you tend to find, especially in Melbourne, when you go to some of these cheap pubs and stuff, and they're like, oh, get a steak and half a lobster. The reason why they do that is they cut it in half and they can call it a lobster because you don't know the actual size. And that's how they get away with it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cheeky to do. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's what it is. But to be fair,
Yeah.
they're charging you like $30 for it. So
Oh
it's like
god. Oh,
you're paying
definitely not.
pennies for
Yeah. But yeah, but no, but when we so after Orlando, we went down and we traveled down to Miami, which is possibly. I mean, I don't know if I've had a more boring drive because that's the one thing about America and straight roads. I mean, that is just
yeah.
mind numbing. But like when we got to Miami, nothing to do for teenagers at all,
Yeah.
and it sucked, especially as a tourist. We went to the Everglades. That was
That'd be sick. That'd be
the
amazing.
Everglades was interesting, right? That was a good day out. It was not. It was lovely. But then got to the evening, and it's like, so we went for dinner, and then it's like my mum and Paul, because obviously the typical English thing when you go on holiday is you would, on
You
most.
complain, you get
No,
fish and
no, no,
chips,
no, no.
and then
You
you
go
just eat the
out.
same old bullshit because you're just fucking boring as shit to travel with.
Fuck off.
Sorry.
Listen, right? No, what normally happens on an English holiday is literally you go out, you have a restaurant meal somewhere, and then you go to a bar. Okay? And kids normally allowed in a bar until maybe about 9, 10 o'clock, depending on the country. Okay?
Depending on their bedtime, normally,
Yeah.
really.
But normally on bedtime, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that, of course, you can't do that in Miami. If you walk into a bar and you look underage, you get ID'd. And it's like, oh, well, we're just going to, it's only 7 o'clock. And it's like, no. They can't be in here, period.
Yeah.
So literally, it was ended up at one point. It was like me and Jono were in our hotel room. He's teaching me sports because he's just one of these kids who, well, he's not a kid anymore, but he was just one of these kids who's a jack of all trades with sports, who's great at every sport, and he could sit down, start watching a game, and he immediately starts understanding all the rules. It's like he taught me baseball, and I'm like, what? Because I'm like, what's this down business? He went, no, this is the ninth quarter. He's explaining all this crap, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you know this? We've just got here, but he's just watched one game and he knows instant stuff.
Yeah, I'm like that with sports, and that's why I played American football because I loved it, and it was the same kind of thing where I was just like, oh, okay, cool.
But no, it was so. So the evenings in Miami were dull, and my mum said if we had known what it was like, because obviously for them it was great because they went out and they got the nightlife, and Miami nightlife is very vibrant, very
It's
good,
amazing,
and it's going to be great. So once you're over the age of 21, Miami's sweet, but before 21, it sucks, especially as a teenager who is like, it's like, well, Mum, no offense, I drink. And she said, yeah, I know, don't worry, we'll get a couple of beers for the room, you'll be fine. So, but it was just one of these things of, not being stuck in Miami for literally, I think it was like, how many days? I think it was like 5 days in Miami. It was the dullest bit. And my mum said, she was like, we should have done it the other way around. If we'd known, we would have travelled down to Miami, did all this bit, then gone to the roller coasters and had a great time there. And then,
Oh man,
then flew out, sort of thing. was the way we would have done it.
But that was one thing that I noticed in when I was in America. Like I was 20, and at one point then I got super lucky because I was in the casino and I was chatting to this bartender, and this girl next to me ordered a drink and he didn't know how to make it, so I taught him how to make it. So according to him, he's like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I'm a bartender as well, and I'm just a bartender in Australia." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he started serving me drinks because he didn't bother checking my ID. But I'm just like, holy crap! Like, but yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
allowed to have a beer the entire time I was there, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is friggin' ridiculous. Like, I mean, the Rusty Nail would occasionally serve me when there was no one around, but the best thing about the Rusty Nail too was because it was more of the dive pub and more the chill bar. A lot of the cops would drink there,
Yeah.
so there were times where we got raided, and they went and checked IDs, and I'm washing dishes, and they come out the back, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just a dishwasher, and they'd be like, yeah, cool. Then an hour later, they'd come into the bar, and I'd be serving them, and they knew full well that I was underage.
Yeah. No,
But
no.
as long as I wasn't serving alcohol when they came in, they were golden.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I love America sometimes.
It's one of the funny things. I mean, as I say, it's like because I discussed this years ago with Ellie about doing it for my 40th. You know, like this was when but even before we moved to New Zealand, we were discussing this as an idea, and we're like, well, do we take Edward? And I was like, well, I don't know what there is to do for kids in Vegas because it's meant to be adult. You know, it's all adult, and literally we've looked into it over the last couple of years, and basically for him, there's some stuff in the day if he wants to go see a show, but it's no offense, you know, my son is not a let's take me to Broadway, Dad. sort of kid. So I don't.
He's like, excuse me, Father, I would like to see Joseph in the Technicolor
Excuse me,
Dreamcoat.
Father, I'd like to go see Cirque du Soleil. No, that is not my son, and that is completely fine.
Yeah.
You know, to all those who if you're into that, that's fine. But that's not my son. He doesn't, he doesn't get excited by that prospect.
Well, that's the weirdest thing, and I found that too. And I heard this comedian say it, and I won't lie. I'll wait till you finish drinking because it was pretty bad. But he literally said, he goes, I've got a son. We went on holidays recently, and to be fair, there is nothing for kids to do. He goes, well, except for shoot up their school. And I'm like, oh my God, you can't say that. And then the worst thing was he said this story, and he's like, so that was a joke. It was meant to end there. In the last few months, since telling that joke, it has evolved. Because in 2 of the towns that I have done that joke, not realizing within the last 3 days there had been a school shooting. So it hasn't happened once, it's happened twice. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Like the fact that this guy has only been touring for 3 months, made this joke in every town and plays, I think he was saying 6 days a week. And so far, 2 of the towns he's happened in, it's happened in the last week.
Yeah, that's not...
the fuck?
You know, that's not very good, is it?
I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, yeah, God. I mean, that's the one problem. I mean, yeah, so when we discussed this plan, it's like, well, what do we do with Edward? And it's kind of like, well, we could theoretically get a grandparent to fly out and meet him at a specific airport.
Your parents would probably love that, actually. Oh, sorry, just got a shiny. Sorry.
For those of you, for those of you who do not know what Dez is talking about, Dez is currently playing Pokemon Go, and
because Jordan got me back into it, it was all his fault.
Yes, I admit it was all my fault. However, it's today is Larvitar Community Day,
or Lavazza Coffee Day, as I call it.
I'll be honest, Dez, you've just got to shine it. I think I've got from my hour-long walk, I think I've got 4 or 5. I actually did.
Well, considering that my fat ass hasn't moved from this chair in the last half an hour, and I've caught 1. I'm pretty happy. And I also just popped an incense because Jordan said it lasts forever.
It lasts for it's 3-hour incense. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's about says so. Yeah. Anyway, so we don't know what we're gonna do with Edward, but I feel like having a grandparent meet us, and I said this to Dad while he was here. Drop that subtle hint. And he's like, that could be an idea. Maybe I could take him to the Grand Canyon. And so I was like, that'd be an idea.
The Grand Canyon from Vegas is about 4.5, 5 hours.
Yeah, but you're like, worst case scenario, like you can meet in Vegas and then they could go off on a little road trip.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair though, I think LA is about 2 hours, so you could actually go to Disney World. And I was going to say that if we go to Vegas for your 40th, I'm going to Disney World purely for 2 things. Because I've heard you can make your own lightsaber.
Yes.
And you can make your own droid or something.
Yes, at Galaxy's Edge. I might as well tell this story because I tell it to everyone and Ellie's not bothered by it. But when, so Ellie's 40th was rolling around 2 years ago, 2 years ago. Ellie's 40th was
Hey,
rolling
you,
around.
mate. Jesus Christ. A
You know.
cougar.
Oh,
Wow.
How about I say she's a cradle snatcher. She can't help it. All these good looks and radiant energy.
What podcast am I on again?
But what happened was I'm getting confused. So I basically, she said, "Oh, surprise me for my 40th." I went, "No worries, happily surprised." The one thing she's always wanted to do was go to Disneyland, and her mum never took her as a kid. And I was like, "Well, you know what? I can make this special for her 40th. I'm going to take her to Disneyland. Obviously, it's going to be before her birthday because it was like, well, we can get better weather on these dates. Blah 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 blah. You know, so it was going to be fun. But it's all the 40th, job done. And then the global pandemic hits.
Shit.
And then my wife is like, "Can we still go on our trip?" And I said, "At the moment, yes, because no one's told me no." However, let's just see how it goes.
Oh God!
And then literally the date is approaching fast. I think obviously it was like the second week, and then everyone went into full total lockdown.
Oh man!
And then she was like, "We're not going on that trip that you planned, are you?" And I went, "Mm-mm." And she was like,
What?
"Are you going to tell me?" And I said, "Well, I can tell you, but you're not going to be happy about it." She went, "No, I'll be fine." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I booked and arranged, and we were going to go stay at Disneyland, and I booked and arranged. We'd got tickets and everything else, and the big city tour around LA, so we could do all the sightseeing and touristy thing, all her favorite things." And she went, "Oh, okay, all right." Sure. So just excuse me 1 minute. Gets up, walks to the bedroom, door shut, and you could hear her through a pillow going.
Oh no, that's heartbreaking. Because that's the thing though. That's what I said to Cherish the other day. I'm like, for some reason, I really want to book a trip to Disneyland. And and I was going to say, like, if I get a bonus, I'm actually going to put that away and I'm going to have my Disneyland fun. And my idea was just to fly to LA for about a week, which is the funniest thing in the world because you fly out, like when I was looking at flights, you fly out at like, I think it's something stupid like 10 o'clock in the morning. And you get there at like 4 PM on the same day.
Yes.
And you're like, fucking awesome. Then you fly back and it's like you fly out in the afternoon, you get back in the morning. So you're like, okay, but then it says +3.
+3, yeah.
Because it takes 3 days because of the time difference. You're like, what?
Yeah, that international date time. I mean, I remember the first time I ever travelled down to New Zealand because I was coming from Dubai way. So I'm coming eastward. No, eastwards. And then
Never
suddenly on
eat
the
soggy wheat bix.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, east.
Yeah, naughty Egyptian spank women.
Is that what your one is? Holy Jesus, Batman!
Naughty Egyptian spank women. Yeah. What?
Because we have never eat soggy wheat bix.
Oh yeah,
like,
well no, the traditional one in England is never eat shredded wheat.
Okay.
But then naughty Egyptian spanks women sticks in the brain easier. Especially as I'm a filth wizard.
I was going to say, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
It does stick in the brain easier.
It does if you're a filth wizard,
Yes.
Gandalf.
But yeah,
Gandalf,
the first time I was over, it was with Emirates, and of course you have the screen with the plane traveling where you are right now and all this jazz. And I think we'd where had we just left? We just left Brisbane, so we're on the final stretch, and of course I'm half in the tank, because it's all free. So why not?
He's had a couple of additional beverages.
A couple of additional beverages, because why not? It's all free. And the fact is, my mother warned me, just wait until, don't go too hard until the last 2 flights. So I was good. But of course, literally, as you're flying, and then suddenly I realise because I think I finished watching a movie or something, and I was just flicking through the rest of the screens before I picked my next one. And suddenly, obviously, I'm on the plane screen, and then there's like this big black line. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I changed the angle because obviously there's different ways you can see. Either you're traveling behind the plane, or you can do a top down, or this jazz. And then I was like, what the hell is this? This big black line? It's going. Hang on, I live in the modern world. How do I not know there's been this great big black line of the planet?
I own a globe, and I've not seen a big black line.
I've never seen it in the history books. It's ridiculous, but the fact is, it's hilarious how then suddenly it's like, oh, it's the international time date line.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that would make a lot of sense.
That's why New Zealand's one of the first in the world to actually have New Year's.
Well, no, I think there's a couple. There's a couple of
Oh, there's a couple little
islands.
islands, yeah,
Yeah,
but
there's a couple of little islands here and there who
the
get it
first
before
real
us.
country, we'll say.
Yeah. Hang on. How are we a real country? We keep getting taken off maps. People
No,
don't
not
realize where we
ever,
are.
mate. Ever since Jacinta Ardern quit, mate, you guys have been like the top of the news. I won't
Oh,
lie though, that broke
oh,
my heart.
oh my
Seeing
God. Yeah.
seeing Auntie Ardern go, that hurts my soul. I'm like,
Oh,
no, she was
right.
beautiful.
Did you see by any chance the matey boy off Fox News' reaction to it?
He's probably cheering or something because he's a bit of a wank,
No,
I'm
no,
guessing.
he's awful. But the fact is, he was like, oh, what was it?
And some rare good news, the appalling Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, that's the lady with the big teeth who tormented her citizens, has just announced she is leaving office. Here she was moments ago.
Announcing that I will not be seeking re-election and that my term as Prime Minister will conclude no later than the 7th of February.
Most authoritarian leader that country has ever had, and no one else comes close. An appalling abuser of human rights of her own people.
He said, he was like, oh, and in good news today, ladies and gentlemen, the former dictator of the New Zealand, yeah, basically, he just rips into it, and he's just like, you have no idea what you're... Basically, apparently, she took away people's freedoms and did this. She put the... What was it? She put the country in entire global lockdown after one case. It's like, yeah, but so did everybody else. We just jumped... because we were the first to jump off the ship doesn't mean we're wrong. Everybody else followed suit.
No offense, you were the first people to jump off this ship. And how many of you guys survived and didn't get it until well after vaccines and everything? Mm-hmm. Most of you.
Yes.
So to be fair, they had the lower death rate, the lowest thing for many moons.
But this guy off Fox, I literally watched it.
Dictator. That is the greatest thing ever.
It was like, he's calling her a dictator and all this crap. And he's just like, oh my God, that you have no idea. I mean, obviously, I understand that we have to have balance for news outlets. For every good news outlet who loves her, there's going to be another one who hates her, and that's completely fine.
God.
But the fact that this is mainstream media in America, it's like, oh my God, do I really want to visit this country? I'm terrified.
To be fair though, Fox was also the one that was cheering on Trump and stuff, so we probably can't really saying, Trump did a great job. What about this? That wasn't him. He literally gave the executive order. Wasn't him.
Wasn't him.
You sure? Mm-mm. Yep. No, it wasn't him.
Can't have been him. No, it's obviously it is left wing.
It was the Democrats that put it forward, and then he just had to try to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Yeah. He signed the executive order. It wasn't him. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But my God, dictator. I could just see it, man. Like it's like Kim Jong-il, fucking Fidel Castro, Putin, Jacinta Ardern.
Yeah, honestly,
the dictators of modern day century. Like
I tell you, man, it was one of these things that I watched it. I'll have to see if I can find it for you and send it to you again and send it to you because I literally watched it and I was howling. I was like, is he watching the same broadcasts that we get?
Not even that. Like, to be fair though, like even if you're a writer and you're like somebody that wants to obviously hate on Democrats, Republicans, depending on what you are, but for you to even go like, what do we call this woman? A dictator. Bitch, what? That's what you're going with. And you, like, as the newsreader, you'd have to be looking and be like, is this right? Like, I know we don't like her, but she wasn't really a dictator. Like, I'm not Mussolini, Adolf, Ardern. Like, what do we do? Like,
no, but this guy, he's got it in for her. Apparently it's well known he's got it in for her and all this jazz because apparently she crushes people's freedoms. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, yes, lockdown was terrible. Yes, there was vaccine mandates, but that wasn't just us. That was everyone. There was mask mandates, and again, everyone. The problem is like, oh no, this is all her fault because she started. It's like, no.
But what's weird too, though, is
mask
like
mandates you had about the UK and America had a mask mandate before we did.
And the weirdest thing is too, though, is there were so many different countries that did it. Obviously, too, though, like when Trump went, no, we're not going to do that. Fuck him. What happened? There was mass deaths. There were mass things. Like you were getting up to like you had more per day than Australia and New Zealand combined has people.
Oh yeah.
Were catching it.
It was terrifying when you see. I mean, it's like, oh my God, we've had 2 deaths today. That's terrible. And then suddenly, and in America, they've had 4,000. Like, what? It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, because I remember there was this big thing about us getting into double figures, and I'm just like, and then America announces that they had like 4,800. I'm like, we had 10, and we're losing our mind.
you know,
They have
we're good.
4,500, and they're like, it's not too bad.
You know, it's when they. I remember the one thing that shocked me was when you saw on the news and they had the they were doing the mass grave in New York.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I
I
was like,
saw that.
I said, hang on, are we looking at the modern civilized world here? It's like, are you kidding me? It's like,
Yeah, but that's you know why though? Because they don't have a dictator like Jacinta Ardern. Like I was Cherish and I, my housemate and I were talking about this, and we were saying that she'd probably go down in history as one of the best leaders. Like not only did she give birth while Thingo and then come straight back to work, she also took her baby and breastfed her baby at the UN. Like she literally did everything humanly possible to do this. She kept her country as safe as humanly possible. Yes, I understand people got pissed off, and to be fair, lockdowns sucked. I hated lockdowns. And do I still want to be like I'm going to complain to the government or I'm going to complain or whinge about this person doing this? No, because at the end of the day, I still think though that it sucked. I wish it never happened. I wish I didn't have to lock down, but it was still the best option rather than catching it and dying.
oh yeah, oh no, trust me. Given all the options, it was. I mean, the first lockdown here wasn't too bad. I think it was like 6 weeks. It wasn't that bad. Really, I mean, me and Eddie were at loggerheads by week 6 because, of course, nothing was open and I couldn't get him any more. There was no more toys or because I bought a big stash at the warehouse before we went. Because literally, I heard it being announced. They said, right, you got 48 hours, and I was like, right, I'm going to the warehouse. I'm buying craft supplies. I'm buying, I'm spending. I don't care. I'll spend this. Because this is going to be my little pile that I can deal with him for the next month. And it did. And
so
we got through the month, no problem. And then it was the last 2 weeks that was the problem. But then the second lockdown came. When the second one was even inkled, everybody did the same thing I did, which was get down to the warehouse. But then, of course, by this time, the warehouse is like, oh, do not worry. You can order online now. We've set it all up properly. And, and it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, well, that was the weirdest thing because like I'm based. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm based in Melbourne.
Oh yeah,
Melbourne had the harshest lockdown of any country in the world. So that my state had more lockdowns than any other country. We were locked down for I think there was about a 2-week period in 9 months. And then we opened up for a bit. Then it started to get bad, and then I think we had about a month to 6 weeks off, and then it locked back down for another 3 or 4 months. So in 2 years, I'm pretty sure that we were locked down for 3/4 of the 2 years compared to what we were out. So if anybody's got to complain about lockdown, it's me. And even I'm just glad because to be fair, like my grandmother's now 96. Like had she gone out and continued doing stuff, I don't think she'd be with us. I think I lost 6 or 7 friends from it. And a lot of them were essential workers or their partners were essential workers. Like it was fucking brutal. And when you lose so many people and then like even just like the lockdowns were hard and I get that, but like I've lost so many friends from COVID. I'm like, oh my God, whether it be from COVID itself, from suicide because of the stress and anguish from it, it's insane.
Oh yeah, no, that was the worst bit was for you guys, I was shocked when my old job when when literally, because of course this was the first lockdown and everything was shut for us in New Zealand unless it was petrol, petrol, supermarkets and hospitals or medical things. Those are the only 3 things that were open. And then someone was saying, oh yeah, no, I've got a problem because I don't know what to do with the guys who were going off site to get their Hungry Jacks at lunch. And I went, are your takeaways open? I went, yeah, why wouldn't they be? And I'm like, oh, that's odd. Hang on, have you gone through this entire lockdown so far with no takeaways? I went, yes. How are you coping? It's called home cooking.
We had a few things. So Macca's was really smart because they weren't allowed to open, and I think that there were quite a few fast foods, especially in the first one, that weren't allowed to open. But what they did is they opened their drive-throughs, and you could get like bread rolls, English muffins, eggs, milk and stuff. So what they would do is they would order stuff and they would stay open for that. But because they also sold that, they were also allowed to open for their menu. So that was their way of doing it. Was, oh, we've got bread, milk, eggs, so you can drive through and buy them. Oh, since we're open as well, can we still do this? And that was the thing and that's how they were able to stay open.
That's clever.
And then slowly a few other ones started to allow open.
Oh,
but
we are
like you
selling
had people
ice.
like, but it was weird because you had people going to McDonald's, and this is the weirdest thing because they were so afraid to go to supermarkets. Their local places weren't open, so they'd literally just go get eggs and milk from whatchamacallit, from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Bizarre, but it happened. But but even then, I'm still glad we locked down because I was lucky I didn't get it until probably late last year, and when I did get it, I was in bed for 5 days, and I was horrid.
Bad, man. Yeah,
I was like, I didn't get out of bed. I didn't shower, get out of bed, or eat anything for 4 days. I was rotten. And to be fair, had I not been locked down, had I not had the 3 vaccines, I would be not doing too well today. Even then, I'm just.
Was it you were just trying to do it for the diet, weren't you? Just the 14 stone a day kind of thing. That was the plan.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how do I lose?
How do I lose
eight stone in 3 days? Okay, I need to lose at least 3 stone a day for the next 3 days to get my bikini body back. And I just went, aha, COVID. So I went up and I licked someone. They gave me COVID, and then it was all done because that's how it's passed, isn't it?
Oh my god, yes. Oh no, that was ridiculous. No, it's there was one thing that used to annoy me because obviously while we were in lockdown, the one thing we do is always turn on the 6 o'clock news. It was always like, right, let's see. We need to see the doom and gloom. Let's see what's going on.
let's go get depressed.
Let's get depressed for the next 30 minutes. While we do.
And then at the end, they're like, look at this puppy dog that can skateboard. You're like, you've just like ripped the soul out of my chest and given me the worst news ever for the last 28 minutes. And then you see the puppy skateboarding at the end, and you're like, oh, that's cute. No, that doesn't make it go away.
Well, to be fair though, I remember the first lockdown with when everyone was in lockdown, and they were reporting whales were or dolphins were traveling up the River Thames. You know, they suddenly showed you before and after photos of Shanghai, and it's like, here's Shanghai, you can't see anything. Here's Shanghai, you can see everything because the smog is gone. And I remember seeing all these random things, and you're just like, wow. It's amazing when humans don't have activity that the world returns to normal.
Well, one of my friends' dads is like a commercial fisherman.
Yeah.
So he obviously couldn't go fishing. So there were times where he honestly thought he was going to lose his boat. And then when he went out there, you know how weird it is to be able to go about a quarter of the way you used to go and be able to catch the quota of what you could catch before? Mm. He's like, it is the most weird thing. They just seem like there's abundance.
Yeah, because they've suddenly gone oh, they're not there. Let's move in. Let's have all the good stuff.
But it's 100% accurate, and it was the most bizarre thing. Hmm. And then the problem was then obviously when the boats open, they're like, okay, now we need to catch 5 times as much and ship it all to Asia because they're missing it. And that's what he said. He goes, 90% of what he catches is exported to Asia.
Yeah. Same with our lumber here is the same thing, and it's shocking. But then again, it's hilarious how the one thing I think about the global pandemic is that it showed the weakness in the system. It's great when we can get it cheap from one country, but when one country is shut down and everyone's going, crap, what do we do? It's like, well, do we not maybe think of that we need to build up industries in countries and do this and stop relying on...
Well, that's the problem. And that's the one thing that I find funny is that even now, fruit and veg here is a little bit higher, mainly because we don't have the tourists come through. We can't force them to pick fruit for 3 months of the year. Because that's what used to happen. So if anybody doesn't know, English, especially anyone from the UK, New Zealand not as much, but America and stuff, when they come over here, they're allowed to stay for 2 years. But in that 2 years, they have to do, I think it's a 3-month it's called a 3-month agricultural thing, which means you have to work on a farm, which normally what you do is it means you go to a bunkhouse, you sleep in a bunkhouse, you pick fruit for 3 months, and then you get the additional year. So it's kind of 12 months you have to do agriculture, and then you can do that. But some places are really good where you can do it as a friend of mine who was from the UK was a sommelier back in France. He came over and he did it at a winery, and that was considered his agriculture, which was just his normal job. But yeah, because of that, we were getting a lot cheaper labor because it was forcing. Now, because we don't have that, also a lot of the laws have lifted. So international students could only work 20 hours. That's been lifted. because we're so desperate to get them. Like, it's so weird, but that's what's happening is that we're getting a really good abundance of fruit, but the fruit and veg can't be picked because they can't afford to pay them.
To be fair, it's the same here in New Zealand. I mean, funnily enough, when I went up to Kaiwi Lakes, which is in Northland on the west coast with my dad, and we're there. You know, it's a great campground where we go to, and of course we're there for the night, and we're having drinks with another bunch of people that we've already met. And then in comes these people, and immediately, it's amazing how you can immediately pick up an accent. Picked up Mancunian immediately. I was like, I said, all right, Mara, how's it going? And he's like, oh, you're English. And I went, yes, I am, Sal. I said, whereabouts in Manchester you from? And it was, we ended up chatting. And it's basically him and his partner, who's a Brummie. I said, oh, so what you do? I said, are you on a visa? Have you been here for a while? He went, oh, no, we landed 6 months ago. We're on a working visa for 2 years. We're travelling up and down the country, and we're working in spots. And I was like, dude, that's a way to go. Basically, they got a van. They basically landed, picked up a cheap van thing, to live in, and basically they're travelling up and down the country, working at fruit orchards and all that. Like, they've already done most of the North Island, and then they were doing a big travel plan down to the south. And I was
that's
like,
cool, man.
And I said, dude, that's a great way to do it, because obviously they're like just out of their 20s, the pair of them, and I was just like, wow, that's a great idea. I would have loved that as an idea when I was younger.
So I should have thought of that shit rather than just moved out of here.
But no,
like
it was just one of those things that suddenly it's like, I said, oh, by the way, you have to be careful. And you went, careful about what? I said, that you won't go back. He went, what do you mean? I said, well, to be fair, that's how most people, it's hilarious how many expats I've met here who came out on a working visa for, I'm only going to work for 6 months. And then they're here 20 years later still. Because...
And to be fair, though, now that the dictator's gone, it's going to make it so much easier.
Yeah, there is that factor. I mean, God, it's just...
I now want a T-shirt. You know how you see those Che Guevara T-shirts, or those ones where it's got like all those dictators. I want one just with Jacinta and that just has Ardern underneath it. I just want a Che Guevara Jacinta Ardern T-shirt.
No.
So
you need her face and the word obey, like Obama did. You need that
one. That's a good one. if anybody's good with technology, make me a Jacinta Ardern Dictator shirt, please. Or you know what we could do? Have Jacinta Ardern like the Dictator, where she's got the beard and the mustache, like from the guy from Borat, whose name I can't remember right now.
What's his name?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen, that's it. Yep.
Jacinta, the Dictator.
To me, he's not the Dictator. To me, he's Ali G.
Oh yeah, no, he'll always be Ali G. But it was more just the fact that I couldn't say dress Jacinta Ardern up as Ali G, then call her the Dictator. It just didn't sound right.
Oh God, Ali G, that was such a terrible show.
Oh my God, and that movie was just like, I can't believe how much, like, especially when you watch the movies and you're just like, how did he get away with it? And even Borat, where people are just taking him so seriously, and I'm just like, how are these people not Jerry?
Because he's nice.
But that was the thing that just dumbfounded me. Is like, how can these people just be like, oh, this must be real?
It's called...
How?
Oh, no, well, for a start off, he gets away with it because it's called comedy, and you're allowed to do it. Back in the day, you were allowed to do these things.
Oh, no, but even then, though, but the people that are like serious around him, like, these people aren't actors. These people don't realize that what he's doing is comedy. That's the thing that dumbfounds me. It was like when the first Jackass movie came out and these people like freaking out when they did things, and then eventually they recognized them, so they had to do it in costume. But like with that, I'm like, how did you not, Jerry, that this dude is legitimately trying to take the piss? But they were so serious, and he'd talk about the most ridiculous things, and I'm like, wow, people are weird, yo.
Oh, well, to be fair, it's like I don't know if you ever saw it. I don't know if it might have been before your time or after your time when you were in the UK. Do you ever see the guys from Dirty Sanchez?
Yeah, I love those guys.
Now, okay, let me put some context out for those of you who are not watching our faces. Dirty Sanchez is a
Welsh,
they are Welsh. Well, the three Welshmen and one London lad. Basically, they're our equivalent of Jackass, but there's
a big but.
There's a big but. They go a lot further than the Jackass Boys does, because they can get away with murder on an English TV after 10 o'clock. It's hilarious. Yeah, well,
man.
the Jackass guys, it's funny how, I think it was in the second season they did like a European tour or an international tour, something like that.
Yeah.
And they were in Germany, I think we were in Germany or Holland or somewhere like that. And there was an American guy who went to the show because there was this death metal concert and they were one of the warm-up acts for the death metal concert and all this jazz, because they do this. I actually saw them at my university and they did this act, and it is like, oh my god. Seeing it live is really weird. But the fact is, this American guy was like, at the end, he's interviewed and he's like, Steve-O and Knoxville, they've got nothing on you guys. You guys are insane.
The first time I was introduced to it, they were in Thailand. And they were all sorry. Jesus, I've almost killed him.
Oh my
god! So they were there, and they were sitting at a table.
I know
pants were around their
I know
ankles.
exactly which ones.
Their pants were around their ankles, and their thing was that they had to guess who was getting pleasured by one of the lady boys. And it worked out being that it didn't even turn into who was the thing. It was just like whoever got it, they would be like, fuck, it was me there. And I'm just like, are people meant to guess? And it was just like, how? How did you get away with this? Like, I was just like...
That was part of the movie. That was the movie.
Oh, was that the movie, was it?
Movie. Oh, yeah, by the way, people, they had a movie. This is, it is hilarious. It's, oh my god, yeah. I mean, it's hilarious how Pritchard, he was basically the one who always got naked. And that sounds like a weird description to throw out to the world who aren't looking at us, but he was always the one who would get naked as quickly as possible. But he's lost loads of weight. He did he rode across the Atlantic with a friend of his in a boat and all this chat, and yeah, he's completely different now. And
I must have only seen the movie then, I'm thinking.
Oh, you've not seen the season? Oh, the seasons are so good. You need to see this. I tell you what,
Dirty Sanchez, Prime UK.
When you come over to visit me, I've got them all on DVD, so we can sit down.
Oh my god!
And I'm sure you'll be like, oh my god, why? Why was this scene created?
It was funny. Like, I must say, like, it was pretty funny. I'm seeing if I can download them somewhere now because I'm just like, it's too funny not to. But I just remember, Dirty Sanchez. Like, I remember watching the movie and I was just like, Jesus Christ! Like, how?
The movie was wrong, man. Because that was, what was it? There was about the 7 deadly sins. That was what the entire concept was about, and it was about lust, greed, and all that. I mean, oh my god!
Okay, note to self.
I've just remembered
downloading Dirty Sanchez on a torrent thing. You don't get a whole heap of kid-friendly TV shows.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. I'll tell you what. I'll send you. I'm sure I can find it on the totally legitimate site that I use to watch my programs.
Oh man.
And
it was funny.
It is.
So while he's doing that, so we went out this morning to get me some runners, because for probably 22 years, I reckon. So 90% of my life, to be fair, about 50% of my life, I've been wearing like DCs or skate shoes, because I used to skateboard, I used to rollerblade, but I always wore skate shoes ever since I can remember. So I had to go out because I'm going to go back to the gym and I'm going to do a little bit more walking and hiking and stuff. So I went out and bought some runners. So we went to this place, Athlete's Foot, kind of like a Foot Locker, depending on, or JDs or whatever you want to call it. And what they actually do is you actually stand there, they scan your foot, and then you walk and they see obviously whether your foot rotates or whatever. So I went and got some, and the dude says to me, he's like, wow, most people are normally between a C and a D in thickness. He goes, you're an F. And I'm like, I finally know what a girl feels like to be told that she's got a big one. big set. So that was all thing. But I got these shoes and I put them on, and the support on the heel, the support on, as I'm walking, it's just like so light. The things are light as a feather. So for anybody that's ever wore skate shoes, they're just flat. There's very little support. There's very little thing. They're just what they are. But Cherish is like, Derek, you can shut up now. Because I reckon 8 times I'm like, oh my God, you should feel how soft these are. I'm like, look, they got padding. I'm like, and then I put my old shoes on. I'm like, my heel hurts. And she's just like, you don't have to sound like you haven't owned a pair of shoes in a decade. I'm like, it's been 2 decades. And the guy behind her, he was lovely, but he was laughing his ass off because he thought it was the funniest thing because, I had no idea.
You know.
But yeah, so I now own a new pair of runners, so maybe we'll go to the gym.
Oh, to be fair, funnily enough, because today I went to a frozen brunch today. Went and had frozen cocktails and nice.
Oh,
brunch.
that's always messy.
Oh yeah, it was. Especially when you
I'm
see,
actually surprised you're with me.
especially when you see an entire bridesmaid party turn up, you're like, oh, you girls aren't gonna last today. Because it was bottomless. Like, what was it? There was a strawberry. It was meant to be like cocktails. One of them was strawberry. One of them was passion fruit, and the other one was pina colada. So you can guess which one.
So in other words, we're just going to drink some frozen stuff that doesn't taste alcoholic at all, and then makes you fall over.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, I had about 3 glasses worth, and because basically I worked out, I was like, "Elle, how much are the tickets?" And she's like, "Oh, it's this price." I went, "So hang on." So we got this full big spread of platter of food. So roughly, it's probably about 3 drinks. And she went, "Yeah, about that. That's normally what a frozen cocktail would cost." I'm like, "Great." So I did my minimum, and then I had a beer. Because God, after I got the third one down me, I was halfway through the second one. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I could stomach another one." But I thought, it's a ticket. I need to justify my ticket price. So make sure I have my third one.
It is funny. Like I've worked with people like that are like, okay, and like I remember this dude, and he's like, okay, so I've got us this, and he worked out in a spreadsheet exactly how many plates he needed to have. If he had a salad instead of having some meat with some salad, how much he needed to have, and he worked it out down to like the letter to get his value worth, and then if he was able to eat dessert after that, it was a bonus. And I'm like, really, bro? Like, does it really matter that much if that person makes an extra couple of bucks from you? But yeah, like he did a spreadsheet.
It does look, because I remember the last my best man, well, one of my best men, his stag do in Prague was just before we came out, and literally he bought. We arranged and we had a beer bike tour, so we're cycling around Prague and drinking as much beer as possible. Great, fab. We got an hour on this bike, and Jamie said, "Does anyone want to know how many beers we need?" And I said, "Yep, fire away. How many beers do we need to chuck each?" And he was like, "Right, everyone needs to sink at least 6 beers to justify their ticket price." And I said, "Oh, easy."
I'm actually shocked you guys weren't already above that by the time he mentioned that.
Oh yeah, we were. We'd already been out and been on the slosh since 10 o'clock. So the fact is that he said, and this was a 12 o'clock thing, the fact that he said 6 beers, we've all got the buzz on. We're all like, "Yep, 6 beers, no worries, pal, we're sorted."
Yeah.
Have you ever tried chugging 6 beers while cycling?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. And then the worst thing is too, though, you're not really facing the road, are you? Because aren't you? Is it one of those ones where the bars you're?
Yeah. No, bar? So it's like a mobile bar. You're facing the bar. You're just pedaling. It's hilarious because basically, because obviously that was the day we dressed him up, of course, because as stag do rules go. I mean, for ladies, you can just ignore this bit. But basically, stag do rules are that the stag needs to be dressed up at least one of his days for his stag if he's having multiple days. So, of course, we dress him up, and he's in a Pikachu onesie, and we're all dressed with Pokemon trainer caps, and yeah, we look like Pokemon trainers catch Pikachu. So we're driving around the city of Prague, playing Pokemon tunes the entire way, and guess what?
Oh, God.
Everybody was joining in. It's hilarious. People were singing along the song. We played the poker rap. We had a great time.
Oh. Sorry.
Oh.
One of my things just decided I'm gonna have a pop up now that's gonna play music. It's like, oh God, we're recording. Don't play music, idiot.
Don't play music. Pop music.
No, this one. Warning: the following feature finishes, and I'm like, what are you even playing?
Oh, at least
like I was on a news site. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
At least it's not. Oh, do you remember the back in the day with the back in the day where you buy a movie or a DVD and you have the "you wouldn't steal a car."
Oh yeah, have you seen some of those send-offs where you wouldn't steal a car, and this guy's like, he's just smashed the window and he's gone to get in. He's like,
It's like, yeah,
you're right.
he's stealing the car. He's fine. He's allowed to steal a car, but we're not allowed to steal a car. It's fine. So you wouldn't steal a movie. I remember that. I still remember that advert, because it played at the beginning of every movie at the beginning of the 90s that I owned or rented. It was
I remember that too, though, because we had a guy at school. What was his name? I was Pirate Twan, we called him, because he used to pirate the DVDs, because he was one of the first ones. His dad bought home a burner or something from...
DVD burner. Go my burner.
And to be fair, though, like, he used to buy the discs. He used to sell them to us, and he probably made about $10 a disc. But what was funny, too, though, is to burn a CD back then, it wouldn't take, like, 8 seconds. It took about an hour and a half. So it was almost like watching the movie. But he would do it, and you'd buy things from him. But the funny thing is, though, is he'd go to the video shop, would go here and get those movies, and then burn them, and then he'd just keep burning that same one. So you're watching a burnt TV, and it's like, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't download a movie, you wouldn't download it, you wouldn't steal a movie.
Can we not have edited this bit out?
No. It's like now every time I watch one, I'm like, I feel bad because I would and did. Damn it!
No, because it's hilarious how, like, even if you didn't watch it, like, obviously, I only watch things on totally legitimate sites. Obviously, Des.
Yeah.
But but if
aren't you sending me a link to that legitimate site, sir?
I can't find it, but I'll find it. I'll find it at some point. But it's the fact. The fact is that it's hilarious how nowadays it's still meant to be illegal, but no one cares. It's kind of expected. The fact is that you got hackers who will hack Sony and release the entire movie of something at some point.
I know. So if something's come out on DVD and it's out, I'll be like, yeah, I might watch it if it's something I want to watch. But yeah, when you get some of them, like, I remember one of the dudes was a reviewer that I knew. So he used to get screeners, and then he used to do that, and he used to be like, "I just don't share them out because obviously if they find out it's me," and a lot of the times they wouldn't, and then occasionally, and then what they started doing was in certain parts of the movie, they would have the screener number say 1, and they would put like a little flash or a little bit of a line so they knew which one it was, and I'm like,
so they knew who leaked it. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm just like, that's pretty funny, but yeah, and then at one point, then he got done in Italy or something because his one got out, and he's like, oh, no, I didn't, this is it, like, and he showed him it and stuff, and eventually I think somehow he was able to get out of it, and then he stopped doing it because he freaked out. But yeah, there was some dude in Italy that was sharing his one. He's like, how would I get it to Italy? And this is when the internet was still quite new, and it wasn't, to upload a movie, it probably would have taken you, especially with Australian internet, like 16 years to do. But yeah, somebody, supposedly they found one of his copies and things. He's like, how would it be me? Like, mine's here. They must have something wrong, and obviously then he freaked out and wouldn't do it after that. But I'm like, bloody hell! Like, it's such a weird thing now where, like, there's certain series, like, I reckon the Dirty Sanchez movie I probably would have never seen had there not been pirating, because they just didn't release it here. Like, even now, like, I have a look on Amazon and things like that, and I can't even get it here.
No, well, it's a very British thing, and to be fair, well, essentially for the American audience, it's very R-rated sort of thing. The fact
I can't believe I only saw the movie. I thought I must have thought that was the series.
No,
or that was...
there's 3 entire seasons of them doing stuff.
My God.
And the first series is like them just introducing them.
And trying to test the water a little bit.
Yeah, test the water. The second season was them getting real jobs, and basically they would turn up. Like one episode, they worked on a building site for a week. And the gaffer would and of course they're working on the building site doing stuff, as well as being their dickish selves and doing random stuff. And of course, but at the end of the week they get an assessment, and it's like, well, I'd hire him and not the other 3. The best one of that season was when they joined the SAS.
Oh God!
and they don't tolerate shit, and they drag it. Oh, they pulled them through the mud on that one. That was really funny.
I'm surprised they didn't just get shot by the end.
And season 3, they did it was the international tour that they went around Europe or something. I think it was Europe and some other countries, sort of thing. And
insane.
But yeah, and then the movie came out. I think I saw them live at my university. I think it was just after the movie had came out, or it was just before, but I'd already known about them, and when I heard that they were going to be on stage, I was like, we're going. I'm going. And I can't remember, who was that with? I was with Liz, Beth, and Jamie, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is sick!" And I was like, "Yeah, I know, it's terrible, but it's worth."
Like, I just remember watching the movie, and I'm just like, "Wow, this is insane." I'm like, "This is like Jackass with a sort of more European audience, so they get away with a lot more." With just a budget where they've let people go nuts, and I'm like, "Yeah, this reminds me of like old." Did you ever watch CKY?
CKY, yes.
So they were
I
obviously a
didn't,
band.
I didn't like CKY, but I liked
Yeah.
it when they became Jackass, or when Bam, when
They
what was it?
became
Because Bam
Viva La
Margera did
Bam. Yeah, he did Viva La
Viva
Bam.
La Bam, that's it.
But it was the same crew. But yeah, so pretty much what happened was, for anybody that isn't watching, CKY was Bam Margera and all of his boys from originally. So there was obviously Ryan, Rab himself. There was the big hairy dude whose name slips my mind.
Chris
There was
something, yeah.
yeah, there was Brandon. There was a whole heap of his guys, but they were all like shot like in his backyards with handy cams.
Yeah. This
And
is
it took the name.
Jackass.
This is before Jackass. This is before this.
Yeah.
They released, I think it's 3 or 4 like DVDs that they sold on their website. Band's brother Jesse also did a band called CKY, which they were massive in Europe, so like a heavy metal, death metal band. And then obviously from there, Johnny Knoxville got the idea after seeing that. They all joined forces, did that, and then obviously from there they did CKY, which was Viva La Bam, which was just CKY with a budget and some limitations.
Yeah, and well, no, it was more of a, let's have a documentary like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Well, it wasn't, although Keeping Up with the Kardashians wasn't a thing then. This was kind of like the prelude to.
I love it. I still like my housemate at the time, Megs. Like, you ever talk to her? I loved Viva La Bam. I watched that so many times. She used to hate it because she used to come in and just be like, "Are you watching this again?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. It just makes me so happy." And it was just fun. It was silly, and it was the kind of stuff that, like, if you're a guy, you probably did with some of your mates but turned up to like 11 because you didn't have the budget to be able to just cut the roof or cut a sunroof into your Lamborghini or turn your entire house into a skate park kind of thing. But it was just, it just made me happy.
It's one of those things of the fact that, what is it? There used to be an old joke that I think I've seen was a woman could tell like 4 men that do not touch that, it's poison. And she'd come back and find one of them is dead because one of them would deliberately try it, or one of them would be egged on to try it.
Yeah, I know. And chances are he wouldn't just go up and go, "I want to try this." It would be, one of his friends would be like, "Come on, I dare you to touch it. You're not going to die, you pussy. Just touch it.
Just touch it.
Touch it, you
Why
pussy.
do you touch it? I don't want to touch it. You touch it.
No, touch it. You should touch it. Trust me, you're not going to die. Stop being a pussy. Just touch it." And you're like, "Fine, then I'll touch it. See? I touched it." And you're like, "No, you didn't. You didn't go near it." "Oh, yes, I did." And then all of a sudden, everyone dies. You're like, "Of course."
Yes, because
Or somebody would touch it, and before they die, they run around after their mates and catch the fat, slow one and slap him in the face with it, and then both of them would die. And I'm just like, "Yep, that's boys for you in a heartbeat."
Boys in a heartbeat. Right. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up the episode there because I've just seen how long we've been recording for. Yes, we're going to do it there because Des likes a nice short episode to edit because it's his turn.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway,
I did have. Well, just FYI, I do have something to talk about this thing, but we've already missed it.
Go on. Fire it in. Go on.
No. It was just a joke. So we had a conversation with a friend who I sometimes put videos that she watches, and we got talking about. Have you ever seen the American SyFy Channel?
A long time ago, but yeah.
So pretty much, if for anyone that hasn't, they kind of do like ridiculous films like Six-Headed Shark or like Damn Sharks. So they have this genre where they kind of do like really bad, big animal ones.
Very bad. They're not even B movies. They're like D.
Like
movies.
there was one good one that I really liked that was called Sharktopus, which was half shark, half octopus. And then they have things like obviously like Mega Shark versus Mega Anaconda or something like this. So they're known for things.
Yeah.
But in the last probably 8 or 9 years, I've started to see these ones come out where they literally just rip off films that are about to come out. So obviously The Rock had San Andreas.
Yeah.
3 weeks before it was due out, they released San Andreas Quake, which meant that what happened is a lot of people saw it, went, San Andreas, it's about an earthquake, went onto some of the torrent sites or went onto the links and downloaded it or watched it and realized that it was just a B-grade film. And they normally have like these old school actors that were big in like the early 80s and 90s, like, like Corey Haim and stuff like this, and like David Chonkachief, as I call him, the blonde dude from Baywatch, and they get all these B-grade, like early 90s actors that can't do things. Obviously, they did give us the critically acclaimed Sharknado series.
Yes,
But
they
yeah,
did.
and I was talking to my friend about this, but we were trying to figure out maybe how many they've done. So Pacific Rim came out. They released Atlantic Rim. San Andreas came out. They released San Andreas Quake. Fast and the Furious came out, and they said, what was it? The Furious Fast. And it got us down this rabbit hole of all these things. Like Aladdin came out, and they released Aladdin and the Death Lamp. Hansel and Gretel, they had that movie that came out, and then they released, what was it? It was like Gretel, the Witch Hunter, or something like this.
Yeah.
And it works out that there's probably about 60 or 70 films where just before one's come out, they've released the other one to try to get some things. And what's weird though is you notice leading up to these movies that that's right, Witch Slayer Gretel was the other one. But you notice that they actually do get a whole heap of views before the other one gets released. So now we've set ourselves a challenge that we're going to try to watch as many of them as humanly possible. So tonight I will be watching Atlantic Rim.
Okay, well, it's really funny. I saw the other day that there was, and before we all wrap up, I saw the other day that there was this guy who posted on Facebook of what is this, and basically what you can tell is that in the forest of, I think it's this German forest, the ground liquefaction has occurred, i.e., underneath the grass layer is there's too much water and the ground moves up and down,
which is cool.
And said, "What is this?" And literally, you go into the comments. And the comments is the best thing. So someone hasn't seen the movie Tremors.
100%.
And basically, the entire comments thing is like, "It's a graboid, run!" It's just
To be fair though, if you guys do like Tremors and you do like that style of movies, SyFy has brought out sand sharks.
Oh my god!
So it's sharks that travel through sand, and what makes it even more funny is that it actually has Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Oh god! Really?
But oh man, there's so many of them, and to be fair, Big J, who I used to live with and went to uni with, when we lived together, I would literally see these, download them, and we would have a ball. Like whether it was toxic shark, radioactive shark, it was 2, 3, 5, 6-headed shark, because 4-headed shark just seemed too weird.
Oh, of course.
There was dam shark. Yeah. There was beaver shark. There was piranhaconda. There was there was so many, and then there was like the verses. There was one that was like a killer whale mixed with a werewolf. And I think it was called Were Whale. And then there was Were Whale versus like Octo Shark or something. Like, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not the gift. It's them being annoying.
Oh, that's right. Gyno Croc versus Super Gator was another good one.
Right.
Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. Mega Shark versus Colossus, which was a robot. Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark, just because we needed a robot shark just in case. Mega Python versus Gatoid. That was a good one. Malibu Shark. Like, there was a lot of shark ones. Like, they seem to have a real hard on for sharks. But but to be fair though, they were also really good, because after the original Lake Placid, that was a bit of fun. They were actually really nice in regards to what they would do is they would actually gave us 3, 4 Lake Placid versus Anaconda, Lake Placid Legacy, and also Lake Placid the final chapter. So there's my pick if you want to do something this weekend.
Well, if you want to be
watch the original Lake Placid, then watch the 5 SyFy ones that are 10 shades of horrible.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the podcast.
he's like, I can't take any more of this shit.
I can't take any more.
Turn him off.
I can't, Dez. I seriously can't. Right, okay, I've had enough of you this week.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
It's fine.
ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder once again that if you do enjoy our content, if you can follow us on our socials,
Can you please explain why? Why do you? Because after that one, I don't understand. Like, even Jordan doesn't like our content right now.
But if you could follow us on our socials and share our content, and you can obviously also find us on all good available podcast sites, as well as our YouTube channel, which is Dorks Down Under for those of you. All links are located in the description box and blah, 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 and X, Y, and Z.
And if Bug Assault wants to sponsor us, that'd be nice because then it will save me some money and I don't have to buy one because I really want to buy one.
Have you seen the Shredder? It's only available in America.
Is it like, please tell me it's like a fucking rotary cannon one where you just turn the...
It's a pistol.
Oh,
Dual wielding is a possibility, baby.
mate, I'm going to get little short shorts, singlet, and I'm going to get like Lara Croft thingos. And my next Halloween is going to be me dressed as Lara Croft shooting bugs from the air.
Honestly, I found literally, because obviously I was setting up everything for sharing and
Last
then
week.
people knows and all that chat, and then suddenly I see this comment thing of with Bug Assault is Shredder with 1D, and I'm like, what the hell's this? So you find it and you see that it's the pistol version of their product, and I'm like, dude, where's this? I need this. I want to run around the house dual wielding, you know, pretending it's like a gun.
You can just see you yelling out to Eddie, I need cover. You're running around with handguns, diving over the couch, shooting flies. Like, oh,
you know, I need two of them, and just for, you know, personal reasons, I need two of these so I can run around, and it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be great, and nobody can tell me otherwise. But they are not available down here. They're only available in America at the moment, which is sad face.
For any of our American listeners, I'm gonna make a PO box, even if it costs me money, just to get these shipped here.
Yes. In fact, can we have four? So we need four of them.
I was gonna say, yeah, we definitely need four.
We need dual wielding capabilities and running around like idiots with salt guns.
Can you imagine us going to Hawaii, running around shooting flies with these Bug Assault rifles?
Honest to God, literally, I saw it and I was like, yeah, I need that. And I even told Ellie, and Ellie went, no, you're bad enough with a rifle. No, you are not having a pistol. And I said, give me one reason why. And she did come out with, you've always said that whenever you go into a rifle range and on a stag do or whatever, that the safest place to stand in front of you when you've got a pistol is in the very front of you because you can't hit anything with a pistol. Oh. And I said, that's not the point. But anyway.
Don't come here with your logic, woman.
Yes, I know, exactly. But anyway, much love, people. We've had a great time on this podcast, and we're continuing to have a good time on this podcast. Stay tuned. As we said, every Friday we release a new episode, unless we mess up.
Yeah.
Unless we mess up. But we're here to stay for 2022, and this is the closeout of episode 2 for...
Isn't it 2023?
2023, yes. Why did I say 2022?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're here to stay for 2022. I'm like, yay, we've already done it. Okay, see ya. I'm going.
We're going home. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we're here for 2023, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, peace out. Much love. Mwah.
That is.